Welcome to Answers from the Universe and the Andronicus transmissions on Wolf Spirit Radio, Ever Beyond Radio, and Studio 9 Jam on YouTube. With your host, Jessica Ariel Morocco, featuring JP as the voice of Andronicus. Please visit www.readingsbyrael.com, that's A-R-A-E-L.
From the future, by way of the past, I bought my ticket for the 15th century. We started moving through a hole in history.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at Answers from the Universe. I was thinking of taking the time off. I decided to do a pre-recorded show again because during my vacation or holiday, as some people will call it, I ended up getting a lot of information. It seems like my mind was clear, the channel was open, and there are 8 transmissions today. Some of them are new. Some of them are from some friends that we've had in the past during the whole series of the Andronicus transmissions. We have Baylord, Jonas, and we also have the regulars, of course, Rhodan and Meetis, Andronicus. But we've added also Mars. Mars is another one that we've had in the past, and we haven't had him very often. But there are 2 new ones. I actually communicated this week with the Buddha and also with Gandhi. So it's an interesting show. I really didn't want to hold back and wait until the following week. It felt like it was timely, particularly because one of the messages does refer to the eclipse. So anyhow, JP, how are you? Thank you for allowing me to do the pre-record today.
That's okay. Hey, it's a rather Dreich Scotland August. Dreich means, well, it's like it says on the box. It's grey, it's rainy, it's that sort of moist, just kind of more than moist air that is almost a sort of mist. It's just about got enough gravity to slowly float to the ground. But it's like, it's the sort of stuff that gets in your bones. If you've had, accidents or anything in your life, you get these broken bones that flare up when the pressure is low. So, yeah. But apart from that, everything's fine.
So are you saying that it has the appearance of that very mystical look with the mist everywhere? And I had that about a month and a half ago. I woke up a few times and there was this beautiful mist. I mean, just floating there. And it has this very, very...
It's one of the levels of mist. Like Eskimos have got like 50 words for snow. There are levels of mist in Scotland that they talk about Scotch mist. It's it can rain, and then when it stops raining, mist rises up from the forest. You probably get that in Canada as well. And that sort of tumbles down the hills. That looks very pretty. And then there's the har, which is on a really hot day, the sea starts to evaporate, and then that drifts in as a huge fog. So you have about half a day of really nice weather, and then this cold fog comes in all again. So that's all fun. So that's
but it's beautiful and very mystical, magical looking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, is that where we get the word mystery from? It's like the mystery of time. So, yeah. Yeah, so, essentially quite moist here. And so everything is growing and you can't go out and cut it because it's just gonna be a mess if you try to weed whack it. Anyway, I'm not gonna continue complaining about the Scottish summer, which, I was thinking the other day, the one thing that I would really miss if I didn't live in Scotland or in the country is the stars. I almost live for the evening where I can sit and watch Orion just in the sky. That's what one of my favorite things about this place is the stars outside.
Yeah. Well, that is a beautiful connection for us galactically to look up and see that, we are, there's something amazing when you pay attention to it. It does seem to come closer to you, and it does come into your life more. If you don't pay attention to it, it sort of is up there, but as you start looking at it, I really think you're bringing it in. And I remember, years where I'd be, we would go up north and there'd be less lights and there'd be more trees and there'd be times where you can look up, maybe like in Maine or New Hampshire where I live. You could lay down and look up and there's no city lights and no street lights or anything else, and just see the stars like magnificently. Everything just lights up in the sky. And, it just seems closer. Everything comes down and connects to you. And I've been in areas in the U.S. too that, you have that feeling where you're very, very close to the sky, or the sky comes to meet you. And essentially everything that we do here is a reflection of that. The transmissions are a galactic connection to us here. So it all really makes sense that you're bringing it up.
Fascinating. Yes.
Yeah. I want to tell you something. I got a message from Andronicus this week that completely, I don't know, it threw me for a loop. I just didn't know how to process the information. I had a feeling about it, but it's another layer of mystery that is now revealed to me. And it was kind of troubling information, but I'm glad that I received it. It feels like I can get some closure on another aspect of my experience. But that's coming in the second half of the show. And yeah, just so let people know, don't leave in the second hour.
Don't go away. We got a long music break. We got lots of music today.
Yeah.
But I have to say, Jess, I've been listening to the edited Andronicus transmission snippets that Martin Zgangar has been editing for us. And to listen to them all in one stream, so to speak, is a fascinating process. And also there's a lot of stuff that you forget. Oh, right, yeah, so that's how, so, I mean, I think it's episode 24 or somewhere around there, for instance, where, he meets Rhodan for the first time. And how Rhodan was like, yeah, what the heck what have you sent me? Like, I was looking for warriors and I got this wimp. And Andronicus stood up for himself. Yeah, so obviously, he's like not as tall as the Titans, obviously, but, still, eventually accepted by them. But,
right.
He was, they regularly took the mickey out of him. They really, over the early years, that Andronicus was.
He comes from more of there's a kind of a mutual respect and a way of interacting, and they were crass. They were very rowdy and aggressive, and he didn't know how to process that in the beginning. I mean, particularly Borkum drove him nuts, and he grew to love Borkum as a friend.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a hard time with him in the beginning.
And it's funny the character, and also listening to the characterizations that as they developed over the years, because when I first started I had no experience, and so I just kind of made things up. But the early voice of Rhodan and the later voice of Rhodan, there's a continuity to it. He still sounds like the same character. But he's just got more characters, more dimensions, I think, because I've just been doing it for so long. So, we got some more characters to bring in today. That should be quite interesting.
Well, I can't help but think that from all, my channeling and gathering the information, and you're channeling them by speaking forth their words, that in some ways, you have contributed your energy into all of this.
Mm.
So it's, it has elements of reflection of you as well.
Yeah. And, maybe one day you'll hear a transmission from Primus Deus. That'd be funny.
Well, we sort of did. We found the Jupiter Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, that's
Primus there.
Yeah, that's a future one. I wonder where all the other guys are. But it's very interesting. So, shall we start on this epic journey?
Yeah, let's bring in Rhodan first. Since you mentioned him, it seems like he's the first one to talk about.
Okay, so now where is he? I've just used this one, number 3. Where is it? Lightning Strike 2 and 4. Where's Lightning Strike 3? Oh dear. Hang on a second.
Okay. We search for the
appropriate. Oh, it's gone. Oh well, never mind. I was using. Oh no, there it is. There he is. Okay, so here we go. The skies are open now, and the day is beginning with a new sun. I see a lamp beyond the rolling hills and trees. I want to venture there ahead. Your planet is full of many surprises, yet few of you notice much else. Your heads are down and your conscience is not awake. You should look up, not in fear of what is ahead or not in sorrow of what is behind. Seek to experience what is now and how it frames the future and the past. You are emerging from the now. See how it expands into timelessness and then returns back to reset. I imagine you never noticed how all of this works. A truth I speak, a truth. Now we have been, and we always will be. Oh, sorry. A truth I speak, a truth I know. We have been, and we always will be. The human race was created to be separate and yet connected, as divine and lovely but not controlled. Yes, you should have your systems in place, but not to restrict your expansiveness. There are systems that need to be upheld. There are gates that need to be maintained. There are systems of order that need to be held in place. I am one with you. You are one with me. And we are all connected. Tell me, child, how can one rule over another if you're all equal? This is what I keep bringing up to you. There must be a time when you all come to realize this and see it as your own experience. I hold a vessel in my hand that is neither an object to use nor magic, and it opens up my thinking to measure out my time and plans of operation. It is the object or vessel of time. We mentioned time before, and as I said, it is a collection of thoughts, ideas, emotions, and perceptions or plans of action. Your clock ticks, and you take these increments to lay out these series of events you want to experience and place them in their proper order. Yes, this is basic knowledge. But now see how the universe plays into all of this. Days turn into weeks. Weeks turn into months. Months turn into seasons. Seasons turn into years. Years turn into decades, and decades turn into centuries. Centuries turn into millenniums, and time is unlimited in its increments and collective form. Now, consider this element when we add an anomaly. We bend time, and nothing is in the typical order, and the arrangement of what you knew collapses. And now time that is folded, bent, and rippling through the expansion and becomes a gate of everything and a void of nothing all at once. This is your Zen, where we taught the ancient masters to find their peace and rest in the midst of time in order, or time bent or rippled. Such is the flow of life in time. A highly philosophical Rhodan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although Rhodan's been going through some very challenging times. I'm finding that he has been going through transformation, joining together with Quasar, and, becoming one with Quasar, because it's another aspect of him. But also, there is definitely some energetic, attacks that don't want him to emerge as he should. And just following him and watching over what is happening. When a being is most vulnerable when they're pulling themselves together, when they're resting, when they're gathering themselves, when they're healing. And so he's been off and on in vulnerable states ever since the Hades incident. But I do keep an eye on him and make sure and others are watching over him in his great transformation. So now we're going to go on to
like a caterpillar is most vulnerable when it's in that kind of semi-liquid state.
Yeah, and we all are. I mean, when we're in the process of awakening, you're very vulnerable because this is when you usually hear a lot of people say that challenge your belief, challenge your questioning about the system, starting to look outside the box, and then people find that you're walking outside the box and then they correct you. It's a very vulnerable state of being. So, remember, everything's all relative, and there's different ways of expressing the same challenge. But we're all in the process of growing as he is, of expanding in a new way. On the next one is a conversation with Buddha and his discussion with Rajasan, which I think was possibly Babaji, and I started to think that Babaji and Zamfir were the same. But I'm not sure yet. And either way, I thought, here is the discussion, and I could clearly see the Buddha, and he came, and I was an observer during this discussion between Raja, he's calling him Raja, which I think it means the king or the ruler.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So this is the conversations with Buddha and his discussion with Raja-san.
Okay, so let's see. I can see past the river of life. The tempest tail was like a serpent moving violently and seeking to destroy all that it encountered. I broke his power as he intended to wound both me and you. Today is now a better day, a day of light, a day of solar bliss, a day of truth, and it is a new day for life. Our new journey is up ahead. We have traversed the sky of the yellow sun. When we enter the gate of the red sun, we will be reborn. I will then be able to fly with my own wings upon high. Slowly moving, but faster than light can carry. You, my friend, will run through the eclipse like a thunderbolt of sound and expand more than ever before. Tell me, Raja-san, are you ready to move forward into your new flesh and life?
Yes, I have been waiting for this moment.
Yes, you have, my friend. Your eyes are now deep purple and low into the sky. You glance downward and see through the many layers of illusion without any difficulty. You gaze upon the sun as a newborn doe, gentle and kind and innocent with love. Your heart beats with the heart of the universe and no longer contrary to the divine. You rise now. Lift your eyes, Raja-san, to see what is above. Be blind no more. No longer sleep in your soul. Take the breath of life and spread it across the universe while breathing the fire of primordial rain. Now is your time to reign.
Then the Buddha raised his right hand and flew backwards, slowly disappearing into the ethers. So there's something else happening here in addition to many other things that, and it was necessary. I thought it might have been a private message of some sort, but it wasn't. It was universal, I guess. And the reference to the eclipse. So he says, the Buddha says, you, my friend, will run through the eclipse like a thunderbolt of sound and expand more than ever before.
Your phone agrees. I thought that he was talking about you there, but
no.
Yeah.
No, and none of this, I'm an observer in this conversation, and none of it applies to me. Yeah. So I thought I would share that with everyone, and maybe it has further meaning, but just to listen to I've had many encounters with the Buddha. I've seen a beautiful temple. I've seen a pool, a reflective pool. On many occasions where I've gone there and just kind of meditated and been in his consciousness and space. But this is the first time I heard him speak. My first encounter with Meetis, who he referred to himself as Rupert, and I saw him in Middle England, and he was with a wife that he wasn't happy with and revealed to me that he was a time traveler. And one of the things he said to me is, if you see the Buddha in the place of fire, don't go there. And so not knowing who Meetis or Rupert was at the time, I didn't listen to him and I went into the space. And I went into the place of fire, but I didn't feel any heat. I didn't feel like I was being consumed. I felt like it was a beautiful purification, but it probably brought me to another place than Meetis wanted me to go. But sometimes you have to follow your heart and go and do what you feel is the right thing to do. And I've always had a wonderful connection to the Buddha, but never communicated with him. And this is the first time I heard him speak. So I just wanted to share it with everyone. Okay. Also, I don't know what the thunderbolt is that Rajasan is going to experience. But Rajasan is connected to Shiva, and they're all what they call the Siddharthans. They all come from the same place, or the Vega, the Vega system. And so they're all working together to help the planet. I thought it was worthy of sharing.
The blue dudes. Did the Buddha appear any blue? Because he's been here a long while, so probably not so blue.
He didn't. He looks white. Fair-skinned, and like I said, very wise as usual. Well, it was a treat for me to be able to see him speak.
Excellent.
Anyhow, conversations with Gandhi and Rhodan, which is the same being that we're talking about, whether it's Zamfir or Babaji. And this is, Gandhi has also appeared to me. He appeared to me, I was doing a session for a woman at a fair. And at the time I was going through a lot of challenges. I felt like I was doing what I was asked to do, but there was a lot of difficulties in my personal life. And still, out there doing sessions or, I was happening to do a reading for this woman who came over, and before my eyes I could see Gandhi standing in a river up to his knees, and he was looking at me and sent me healing. And while I'm doing a session for this woman, I started crying, and the healing was just absolutely beautiful. So he is definitely a part of this, connected to Shiva, connected to the Buddha, and connected to Babaji. So here is the message, conversation with Gandhi and Rhodan.
Okay. Oh, that didn't work. All right, hang on. I was trying to do a bit of this. Tell me, Rajan, it's been a long time since you journeyed with us. I sat beside the great Shiva in his council during his first wedding with Parvati, and Mother Durga was present. You, a young man of grace and stature, much like your father Shiva, would gaze upon us in curiosity. Many of us did not look up at you because you were the son of the Most Highest. We knew one day you would rule. Until that time we the council were asked to visit the planets and teach the great teachings of our ways, the teachings of our Master Shiva. Tell me, Rajan, do you remember me? When I stood before your father in tears and was honored that I should have the opportunity to make change in a very prominent way? It was my honor. It will always be my honor and desire to help whenever I can. Your sister, Aliana, has come to me on many occasions but has never requested anything. She only smiled and said hello. I once visited her as well because she needed much healing, but that was all I was able to do. We all had direct instructions to speak with you only, and not take counsel with her, since you are the first seed of Shiva. There is one request I have for you. Please promise me you will always watch over my people, my kindred souls of India, and that you will not allow them to be devoured by the cruelty of others. I ask that you will not let them be taken by the Moguls completely. They must remain separate and in harmony with one another. You once supported the Moguls, and we didn't want them to leave. But they mustn't destroy the Hindu or close the doors of the Jains and others who have the freedom to believe as they choose. I am happy to honor your request, my friend. I'm very grateful to hear your response, son of Shiva. I am satisfied to support your work on this or any other planet in the solar system. It's a true blessing to have you on our side. Much gratitude to you and your sister. We shall speak again in time. Our exchange is not yet complete. I will visit you again.
Then I observed Gandhi by the Ganges River, and when he completed his message, he then turned and walked into the shallow waters towards the sunset. It's very beautiful, isn't it?
That was lovely.
So he brings up Parvati, he brings up that he was part of an ancient council. It's not an accident of what he did here on the planet and how he was a powerful leader. People wonder how some people are chosen to be leaders. It's because of their soul. Their soul was connected to something a long time ago, and it was a request to be here, to be present, to assist at different junctions and times.
They called him Mahatma, which means great soul. You know, they recognize that, you know, everybody's got an Atma, but he had a Mahatma, which is like he's monadically connected, a high degree initiative. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there we go.
Now we're getting visited by Mars.
Mars.
He has a message for us.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to get some more tunes together. But, oh no, it's hard to find it. Because, the bit that you want from Mars is so, let's just imagine if we just had that. Right, so, how does Mars speak? What's his voice like? What's he like? Is he a warrior? Is he a...
he's a
man?
warrior. He's a warrior, but he's also, wise, but young, but, how can I say, determined.
Okay.
Yeah, so someone that's kind of been holding the space for everybody, but, not wanting all the fanfare.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll use standard orbit. I'm on the 8th dimension. It is cool and pleasant, and I can stretch my arms and take in the warm breeze and the subtle climate of time. I left Buteji Mountain in Turkey with little regret, and took back what was stolen from us. It belonged to us, all of these things that we created, that we formed from nothing, are now being returned back to our guardianship. It has been a very long journey for me. Our neglect almost cost us everything. In the end, it was me, not Zeus, who gained everything back. I retained the power, but will not misuse it as he did. Soon I will have my words with him and discuss why Venus was put in such great jeopardy as he played power games throughout the galaxy. Maybe there was a method to his madness. It's hard to tell. He is a very complex being. My friends, you await time, and time awaits you. Get away from what was formerly you and allow yourselves the freedom to be who you were meant to be. Tell me, how do you stay in your ways of thinking without remaining bound? What others did and said is no longer an issue. Now is the time to step out of it and shed it like a serpent sheds its skin. It was their control system, not yours, to abide. You must create systems of your own, and then you will never be bound to one system again. Lift it off you like a heavy cloak that you no longer need to wear. You don't have to carry the shackles they put on you. Be liberated and free from within. The time is now. Time is yours and at your fingertips. Mold it as the potter molds clay vessels. Sit in silence. Cut out what no longer serves you, and rise into the sun with great joy, and speak and ask, what shall you do? So much great information is here for you now. Cast off the old and be free of it. You are no longer the same people full of hardship and sorrows. You are now stepping into your truth and light. Be free of the paradigm, then crush it within yourselves so it no longer has a stronghold on you.
Can you help me see what belief systems I still hold on to?
Oh, you have stepped from many belief systems over the last 4 years. I want you to turn around and crush all of them. You are the ones who allowed these systems to exist. Now, that's a start. Lift up your head to the sky and cut off and remove all systems you hold on to there. I have cast many of them off and have seen them easily tumble and dissolve into nothing. So many of you have allowed these systems come into your field and take you from your hope, your destiny, your happiness. Then they would abandon you, leaving you energetically depleted and separate from the One. Turn back time and see what was taken from you in your childhood. They have been misusing your power for money, control, and darkness. Don't think about the individuals the human souls used to carry out their will. They were merely pawns. The energies behind them should be removed forever. I'm here to guide you. You will never be a victim again. You will never be a victim again unless you allow it. And I'm assuming you won't. They wanted you to be blind and deaf to their intentions. Now your eyes are opened, and so is your hearing, and freedom is in your breath. Use your breath often before making any decisions to allow yourselves time to see what is the intention or reveal any type of trickery or illusions. They are sly and cruel beyond all measure. Many or all will cease to exist when I'm finished. What Andronicus does is no longer a concern to me. You can continue to speak with him, but remember, it was me who helped you in the end. Let him find his own way. But we don't want to cast him off because he is still very much in control of things. Rhodan is still not quite right yet, and Andronicus is holding the space until he is ready.
What needs to happen to Rhodan? He just merged with Quasar.
Just keep watching and ears open. You will see how you can help when needed. There you go. So he's saying, oh yeah, don't worry about that old bloke, just get with me and I'll be fine.
Remember, he was my husband.
Mm-hmm.
I think essentially what he's saying is that, he's the one that came in and started fixing things. And for the past year or so, maybe even 2 years, I've been seeing him over by the Persegi Mountains, hiding in the caves, and working on, locking in the entities. I won't say humans, but the beings that are here, that are rogue and that have been doing things, and then accessing the systems that are controlling or, influencing the planet. And so I haven't said much about him, but I have noticed him there in that space, and he's been under a lot of duress, a lot of, kind of holding the fort, I can say, so things don't fully collapse. And essentially he was frustrated, saying, Zeus gets all of the credit for everything, and meanwhile, where is he? Here he is trying to hold things together. And we know Andronicus, and he has his own method of whatever he's doing, and has his own idea of purpose, and is constantly moving. I mean, even, the point where his planet is not always being guarded in Jupiter, and just does whatever he does. So,
not always present.
Yeah, he's a little frustrated. You can sense the frustration. And but on the other hand, he's reminding us, take control of what is yours. He's given us some tools to work with, and, cut ourselves free from these ideas and concepts. He's saying go within and, break ourselves from it. And his terminology is kind of funny. He just says crush it, go within and crush those ideas, like, giving you a visual, tactile, way of eliminating these things from your thinking, because, obviously we've been trained that way.
The way I saw it when he was saying that is, like if it was, a fossil that just the skeleton is there and it's just really brittle. And it's almost like, I was listening, something about the size of a couple of cigarette packets stuck together, that sort of size of box that would fit in your hand. And it's just the idea is completely fossilized and brittle and old, and will literally turn to dust when you squeeze this little thing. And because they were containing forms, and now they're no longer containing us. So it's just like something that turns to dust when you break it.
Yeah, and he's saying for us individually to do that, not try to do it universally, but we can't help break systems down if we're still holding on to them on the inside, if we still have an element of belief or connection to these systems in the first place. So it's just something to consider, but you can, here again, the other element of it is the rivalry too.
Yeah.
That you're looking at. And
no, actually, I still want about the belief systems, because it says you've stepped from any belief, and turn around and crush all those belief systems you've had, and then lift your head up to the sky and cut off and remove all systems you hold on to here in the sky.
Yeah.
So that's like, belief in the Pleiadians and belief in the Lyrans and the, all of those, and allow reality to happen, I suppose.
Yeah, it's not, maybe not belief that they exist, but not buy into what some of the control systems that they might have as well, or limitations.
And certainly
or
the
telling
Orion
you
one.
that, sure, stay within your parameters type of thing. So, I mean, it's whatever you choose that you want to be liberated from, he's just helping you, encouraging you to do so. And it starts individually, and then it expands out universally. So you start with yourself, and then if you want to help the planet, then you do that, assist with the planet as well. But people always ask me, how do you help the planet? I said, well, you first have to help yourselves. You have to grow, and you have to disentangle yourselves from some of these things, starting with your early childhood, and then you can go back previous lifetimes as well, to just literally remove any of these things that are attached to you and have integrated into your subconscious thinking, that you are guided by it and not aware that it's influencing you. So you want to even go into your subconscious thinking and remove some of the belief systems that are really not in alignment with your ascension, your truth, your experience here on the planet, but rather strongholds of belief systems. And, and there are many. And many of them, and most of them are related to controlling the masses. So it's less about, a truth, more about control. So we want to liberate and get free of all of that. One way or another.
One way or another. Yes, indeed. So, that is lovely. There's some nice little quotes in that Mars one. Where to next? Who to next?
I think we're ready to do the music from yeah.
Okay, what do you want
the
first?
song Far Behind. The song Far Behind by Eddie Vedder.
Are you back?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm here.
There you go.
Yeah, we gotta take it to the United Nations, don't we?
Oh yeah, but we know what they're like now.
I know. Well, it starts off with I figure summertime blues because it's vacation time and it's getting a little bit towards the end of summertime, so it seemed to make sense that I throw that in because I'm working over my vacation. The universe didn't give me a break.
God,
they put me to work.
These beings, they have no respect for rest times.
Holiday.
Yeah.
They don't know what holiday is.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, what's a holiday? Well, we celebrate the day of oh.
Yeah, what do
you... Yeah. So you get a day off on my behalf, huh? All right, that's interesting. Yeah. Well, anyway. Andronicus Day, Rhodan Day. Well, they have a whole day, if Andronicus is Zeus is Thursday. That's
right.
Jupiter is Thursday, and Sunday and
Today's my day.
Jessica's day.
Yeah.
Freya's day, indeed. Yeah.
Freya's day. That all worked out, didn't it? So I'm working on my own day.
There you go. You're even working on your own day. That sucks.
No, that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
And, as long as, we're not fully liberated, every day I could work. If I know in the end that people will be liberated, that'd be totally worth it. So, I do my part, everyone else does their part. And maybe we'll have something to really celebrate in the end. That's my belief. And something for me to hold on to, and I hope you hold on to it as well.
Something soon as well.
Right. Yeah.
Anytime at all. Yeah. So, where should we go today?
Well, yeah, and I was very, very surprised to hear from Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard from Jonas since I don't know how far back now. It's been a while. I don't know if it's been over a year.
It's a long time, certainly. I don't remember the last time. I can have a quick scan if Jonas is in this folder here. But there's Alicia. Where is that? It's just a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Now we connected him to, we believe it was the same one possibly, to the whole Beatles thing, that strange Beatles thing that happened. And I think Chris Jacobs and I had a discussion about it, and he also interacted with Jonas. And Jonas is a being from Agartha. And if you recall, that whole Beatles incident where, that guy talks about, going into the alternate universe where the Beatles exist.
Oh, yeah, the cassette tapes and all that.
Yeah.
What's really another little sinky winky in that case is Bex and I last night we were watching Dark Skies. Oh man, I got to tell you about some TV things, right? Okay, so we've been watching this show called Dark Skies. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't.
1996. Most excellent series. It's beautifully crafted by Bryce Zabel. And it basically shows a couple. The guy gets involved with MJ12. And he works in Washington. as adjunct to some congressman, who turns out to be a reptilian, or it's a hive mind thing, with a squiggly little parasite thing, like a little sort of lobster prawn thing that gets in your head. And it shows all the way from the 1960s, so it's got like JFK's murder and the Beatles on, now where was it? And last night's show was about the Beatles on, oh God, can you remember the name of the guy? His show, very famous TV personality from the 1960s.
Like Lawrence Welk or something, or
bigger than that. Really huge TV talk.
Johnny Carson?
Carson, it might be Carson. That kind of thing. Anyway, so
talk show host.
Yeah, big talk show host, and the Beatles were on his show. Was it Johnny Carson?
I don't know, I fell asleep.
All right, yeah, Becky fell asleep. But anyway, but it was, it was all about the Beatles and E.T.'s they were hooking onto the broadcast signal and sending subliminal messages across it. But I'd really recommend it. Dark Skies, the TV series from 1996. Absolutely brilliant. They took it off because it was too close to the truth.
Wow. Yeah. And that's what's, essentially happening. And also, I don't know if you recognize what Mars was saying. He's saying it's not the people are pawns.
Yes.
And you just said prawns, but
prawns, yes.
Close. People are pawns, and they're being used technically to, fulfill whatever the other beings are directing them, their directives from them, or as we call it, the puppet master over the puppets.
Yeah. We are just prawns in their game.
Yeah. And so what happens is, it just doesn't happen to anyone. You have to say, I don't like my life. I'm stepping out. My soul is not in agreement with this. I'm highly traumatized. I was mistreated at some point in my life. I don't want to be here anymore. And your soul, steps out, or drugs, alcohol, or whatever. So these people who are being used are not people that are whole, well, happy. Mm-hmm. These are people that are stepping out. They're saying, I don't want to be here at this time. Well, you don't really have a choice. Either you be present in your body, or else you surrender it to something else. Because any type of vacancy is too much of an allurement for some of these other beings that want to step in. And believe me, they really want to use your body. Honestly, they want to be in this experience a heck of a lot more than you do. And what you don't realize is when you decide that you want to step out, you don't want to participate, you're really missing out on something that could be magnificently beautiful. But you'll never know about it because you're stepping out. So be present. Come back into your body. Go out and do something that's very tangible, that feels good and physical. Bring yourself in so that you feel everything. Otherwise, these entities will come in and they will step into your body. You will forfeit some of your free will, if not all of it. And that's how these things happen. So now that you become controlled, further controlled, instead of more liberated, you're thinking you're stepping out and becoming liberated. It's just the opposite. You're not taking your personal power. So you want to be present, be in your body. And so the ones that are being hijacked and taken in like this is you're traumatized, you've gone through something difficult, you're unhappy, relationship issues, family issues, physical ailments, whatever it is, excessive partying. I don't know. I mean, it's a whole list of things. But that they come in and they need to use someone and something, and they're glad to do it, And also those that completely have no conscience. You're mistreating others, you're abusing people because of your power, money. You also become subjected and controlled and manipulated further by some kind of walk-in energy. So That's how it happens. And it doesn't happen by accident. And unfortunately, some of us are dealing with these beings, and we think, well, they're human. No, they're really not. They're something else combined with an aspect of their human soul. And that's why they act that way. So instead of attacking the soul, Mars is reminding us to go after the energy that is actually hijacked the soul, manipulating the soul, and trying to live out an agenda here on the planet in a body that is not theirs. They're here without permission. They're here doing things that they're not supposed to do. And as humans, we shouldn't give them any open playing field to do anything. We should, make them stand on the outside, make them try to influence us, but just shut them down, cut it off. And so Mars is reminding us to disentangle from all of it and be present, and then create your own reality of empowerment, personal empowerment. So, that probably sort of coincides with some of the stuff that you're talking about. People are afraid. They're afraid that something's going to take them over. Only if you allow them. They really can't. You do have sovereignty. You do have free will here. So utilize that free will and be really bold and strong about it. And they're only as powerful as you give them power. You can stand up to them very strongly and say, no, you have to back off, and you're not going to tell me what to do or manipulate me in any way. And you're not going to send anyone in my life, whether it's another coworker, a love bite partner, a handler of any sort. You're going to cut all of them off right now. Just do it. Just cut it off and be free of it. So, anyhow, this might got on the soapbox for a moment.
Yeah, a little soapbox moment. That's all right. Yeah, it's your show. And actually, I wonder if we had anyone listening. I think there might be one or two. Oh, there's quite a few people listening, I think. Configuration. There's a few clicks for me to find it. Oh, there's half a dozen of you out there. Hello there. Don't complain that you've heard it before if you hear it on Monday, because this is for Monday. It's not really now. Okay? Right. Just saying. Just saying, people say, oh, I've heard this one before. Yes, because you listened to the pre-record.
Yes, and you'll have to, I'm asking you also, don't give JP a hard time. Exactly. This was my decision. So if I wanted it to go live, there's always some people that, don't hear the show. Maybe they have to hear it on another channel or something else. So here you are, did it for you. And that means that all of us, a lot of times people listen to the show more than once because, and I understand why. It's not because they want to just hear my voice or something silly that I said, but technically the messages that come through the channels have multi-layers to it. And some people catch it and then they'll go back and say, wait a minute, what exactly did they say? And they'll listen again and really extract the information that they need. This information is for you. This is not information that I'm just writing randomly. It's the channeled information that's here to assist you. And if even a few sentences make a difference in your life, I'm really happy that it was able to help you. So, well, listen to it again then, and don't worry about if it's a pre-record. Unfortunately, I can't always be present and do live shows. I have for a couple of years now, but there's times like these that I need to have a little break. So I hope you understand.
Okay, so piece of interesting sci-fi news, part 2, right? There's another show, I might have mentioned it before. It's called People of Earth.
Yes.
And some people don't like it because it's a comedy about abductees. It's a very dark subject and it's treated very lightly, which is often how it's happened in the thing. But still, it's out there. And they're talking about reptilians and the Greys and Nordics. And they're all, they're comedic characters, so it's a little comedian who plays the Grey and but you'll never guess, right? So the first series they had these three ETs, and they were reptilians and Greys and Nordics. And then, at the beginning of the second series, a new character comes in. We got new management. And, comes in these two kind of, clone guards, and there's this box, little cube with the camera on the front, just like Hal from 2001. Just like the camera like that. With a slight German accent, yeah? And you'll never guess what this ET's name is.
What is it?
Eric.
I
nearly did something biologically obscene. When I first, it's like, oh my god. Like, can I not just have an idle thought? Can I not just make up some crap about something that is really crap, that has no kind of... Anyway, so they have a new alien in there. Now, he's not very nice, actually, this Eric. He's an AI, obviously.
Right.
So, he's trying...
Well, JP, do you think that, I can't help but think that they listen to our content and then they turn it into something. And don't give us credit for it.
Yeah, probably. So guys, if you're listening, send us a line. Maybe send Jessica a $5. $10, a weekly rent. Help her.
Yeah.
She's giving you these rent.
Something, toss us a bone or something, For crying out loud. We're providing some very meaningful content here, we're literally channeling and phoning home to our ETs, and what are you doing? You turn it around, making some good money off of it. Don't you have a conscience? Don't you think you'll be accountable for it one day?
One day, we'll be there, up there. So, now,
JP,
yeah.
Don't you think we may visit you one day?
Oh yeah, knocking on your door.
Okay.
It'd be nice just to kind of walk into the studio, just like, one day we'll have to have get that fourth dimensional, thing, going.
Yeah,
right.
Kind of step through the portal. Excuse me.
Yes.
Are you using my line?
Excellent.
I have my galactic lawyer here. Okay, so on to Jonas. So Jonas is, I believe, the same dude that, came into the other dimensions. Chris Jacobs and I both agree, and we may or may not agree on certain things, but we did both agree that we think that this whole beetle thing that in the alternate universe exists, and I believe that. I believe that there's an alternate universe, a Nazi one, and I also believe there's another alternate universe where the Civil War where the South won. So, and I've seen these, and there's probably others too, as well as these pocket universes and so forth. So Jonas has played an interesting part where he's communicated with me. He's also communicated with Chris Jacobs early on when we first met each other and talked about some of our channeled friends that we've encountered. But anyhow, so Jonas out of nowhere just started talking to me this week. And I said, all right, great, so you have a message for us. And here's what he had to say.
I've come back to you to declare the error of my ways and inform you that I've made a serious mistake in my decisions. I didn't realize that the path that I'd taken would be the wrong one. Now I see that it has added much illusion and confusion to me and my people. Instead of liberation, I've experienced a state of solitude and isolation within our encampments. For us, this was a critical crossroads where I anticipated that much would transpire, but we suffered instead from a road that led to a dead end. There seems to be no way out. The master of our charge has deceived us. He promised us so much such as liberty and freedom, the unification of the Agarthan people with the upper land of humanity. We see that factions have deliberately deceived us and further created a separation between us and humanity. Humanity remains caught between the worlds without the final keys of liberty.
How can I help you, Jonas? I know so much was supposed to happen. And explain to me, Jonas, were they from your camp who betrayed you, or were they from a false alliance?
We suspected the false alliance, then discovered that we were betrayed by our own and those disguised by our own. It was pure trickery. We have removed all who betrayed us, but now we no longer trust the outsiders to create the bridge between us and humanity. That will have to happen when our people become more open to trusting again.
I hope so. It would be helpful for all of us.
Can you help with the reset and get us back on track?
Yes. I'll send the proper coordinates to you now. The soul gate will be open, and you will be restored and in sync with all who bring you back into alignment.
They're receiving it now. Much gratitude. I see you've gained many allies. Much goodness to you and your people. See you topside. Well.
Yeah. What happened was
I was just going to say, what happened?
There's been a lot of discussion about, getting the Agarthan people to truly communicate and work with humanity. And then there was a bridge of communication that was supposed to create the link. And this also relates to the RV, by the way, and the things that were supposed to happen. They were making a lot of headway and helping us make some changes, and you could see things had changed drastically when they were operating with us. And then there was somehow there was a breakdown in the system. I think what they did was they aligned with someone else that brought them down what appeared to be a dead end.
Someone hijacked the Agarthan thing. There was this thing in New York, wasn't there? There was supposed to be this woman who's representing Agartha. And,
right.
They're going to do a thing in New York. And, of course, if it really was the real Agartha, they wouldn't go to New York, which is just like a show place. They'd go to Washington, which is where the power is.
Yeah.
See? So that was one of the clues that said this was a BS thing. So it seems that the inner Earth communication had been hijacked by the Dark Lodge. That's typical.
Yeah, they were blocked, and he said essentially it was some of his people. Maybe they really didn't want to connect to humanity yet. And also then there was some other types of deception, so they got what they wanted out of the Agarthans, and then made the Agarthans retreat and step back from it. So I thought that was interesting. That he informed me. I feel like he's my Agarthan reporter. I don't know any other way to say it. Kind of giving me a heads up about what's going on. And he apologizes, and he didn't have to apologize, but I think there was a time when I felt like he was listening to another faction, and I might have said something to him about it and say, yeah, don't go down that road, Jonas. And maybe they collectively thought it was the right thing to do, and didn't fully trust anything else. So, it kind of brings everyone back to square one. I do think that their intention is to reset, which I helped them to reset, just realign with the soul gate so they can get back on track. What happens from here, I'm not sure. But at least, maybe they'll begin to communicate and find another way to communicate with humanity. But I agree with you. I don't think it would happen in New York City, especially since time-traveling Nazis are there. So, yeah, I mean, there's that, and of course there's some other things going on in New York. But I don't think they're fully open there in New York. And I've recently been to New York not long ago, so they're not ready. And some work needs to be done there in order for an openness for humanity to connect to upper consciousness as we should. So, and I'm not saying Boston's any better at this point. This is not pointing fingers or anything like that, but
Boston rocks the best. And it's Brooklyn. Boston rocks the best.
So, we just need to, keep climbing and keep raising our vibration and whatever the right place and the right time will happen. But, well, at least, a step back into in the right direction.
Yeah, I think there's lots of cavities under the earth, and lots of Oh, by the way, have you heard about this? The water moving away from the coast of South America.
No, I haven't.
Basically, the ocean has drained, and there are boats that are just kind of stuck in the mud. The water level has dropped. They thought it was going to be a tsunami, like the water,
right.
receded, and then nothing has come back.
Okay, well, they've been saying that all the coasts everywhere along the Americas were supposed to flood. The water was supposed to raise, and so now you're saying it's just the opposite.
Yeah, it's dropped away.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. It's something that Cliff High spoke about years ago. That, harbors are going to be useless because the water level is it's gone away. So.
And where did they say the water's going to?
Nobody said. People think, it's going over to Africa. Well, no. So I think that the Earth has possibly expanded a little bit, and that maybe in that expansion a hole got opened up and it's gone down into an inner cavern, because there are underground seas and underground oceans that are bigger
Correct.
than the amount of water that's on the surface. We have this thing that, we are the planet, but the planet is a great big thick pudding of cavities and spaces and all sorts of people and all sorts of beings and all sorts of minerals and things, and we see these crystal caves on the top and think, well, that's amazing. But imagine that inside the Earth there are even bigger and even more enormous crystals in these enormous caves that are like an enormous geode. It's enormous. So, yeah.
I agree. There's a lot more than we recognize exists. And people have told me you have to move away from the coast. It's going to get flooded.
Maybe.
And I don't feel the urgency to move away yet. And if I move away, it's because I want to, not because out of fear. I don't ever want to be in a place of fear, and I also encourage others not to be in fear, because that does manifest and open the door to other things that we don't need or want. But that's interesting information. I'll have to look into it and see if the water levels have changed on the coast, and maybe someone will provide that information, because they've been predicting this for a while about the U.S. And everyone's like, well, you have to move inland. Well, I lived inland and I wasn't happy with it, so they're going to have to figure out something else. But anyhow, we have Baylord next. We have to go back. Yeah, we have to go.
Bananas.
Baylord. Baylord and...
There'll be dragons. All right. Okay.
And follow up about the whole Leonard Crumb incident, or Dionysus. Yeah, for those of you that listened to Baylord, I think it was in the last transmission, Baylord just was very traumatic to a lot of people, especially since it visited the whole Pictish group of people that kind of were mysterious in the first place, which comes back to your myths in Scotland. And it all happens right in your neighborhood, JP, where the Pictish people lived.
Yeah. Not off. In Forres, indeed. Like, when it really blew me away when you mentioned Swano Stone. That was quite an interesting connection. Because, like I said, that's in the town. It's like, when I get in the bus, I see it.
Yeah. And so much had happened. And just as for an overview, I mean, how did this all transpire? Well, I did a session for someone, and it turns out that they got very ill, ended up in the hospital with respiratory issues, only for me to discover that they were highly connected to a parallel where, and this can happen. This literally can happen where you're connected to something else and you become very ill because you're exposed to something where your entanglement is manifesting it here. And I've had people manifest entangled experiences or memories in the subconscious regarding a trauma from a previous lifetime. And in this case, this woman went to a parallel where it was another Earth, and the Earth was clearly fracked. You know, it was fracking of some sort, and they created these brick-like tunnels that went into the Earth, and there were gas lines, natural gas that was then pumped up to the surface that they ignited and encompassed the entire planet, destroying all living things and causing the Pictish people were actually jumping the parallels, which made me think about who they were. You know, I mean, what type of being, you know, is able to jump all the parallels like that? And I recognized it, and I knew immediately that it was the 16th parallel. And so now this whole thing plays out, you know, about what's going on. So I return back to Baylord after the first message, where they can't find Leonard Crumb, who is the one that creates this whole problem, ignites it, and, you know, is like a djinn. And he's just jumping the parallels, jumping the planets, and, you know, creating problems, and he does it on multiple parallels. And then I started getting suspicious that this is what the fracking is about here. You know, was Obama playing out the whole plan of Leonard Crumb? Was, you know, inviting all the fracking to begin and setting the stage for another igniting planet that would be ignited? I mean, it's maybe it sounds fantastic, but it made me very, very suspicious. I don't trust what they were doing there, and visually I could see it. So we shouldn't trust, you know, just be so trusting when our government does certain things. You know, what is this all about? What is the intention? I mean, I've had other, you know, visions or stories of people have told me where, you know, other incidences regarding the things that we do to this planet and the repercussions of it. So we need to be much more proactive and saying no when we have an opportunity, when our governments are doing certain things that affect everyone universally. But then there is this other element of possibility. So I thought I'd follow it and find out what transpires, and requested Baylord, who seems to be a ruler of the Pictish people. And the Pictish people were clearly here at a point in time. And then, to my understanding, JP, you can, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but they sort of disappeared. They were in history, and then they sort of disappeared, or else they sort of blended in with the people and mixed with the Vikings and some of the other maybe Celts. Do you recall, JP?
Sorry, I'm just trying to line up the piece of music. Whatever happened to the Picts is one of those mysteries. Where did these people go? They seem to disappear in the Dark Ages. Did they go underground with the Druids and the Freemasons who came from France in the 10th, 11th century? You know, the whole Rosslyn Chapel business and all that. I have a friend, Wadada, who makes music, and he lives in a place although, Forres is one part, there's another town called Berg Head, and it's 7 miles from where I am. I just look north and there it is. And that's like the only kind of Pictish thing is this ancient Pictish fort, which is just like a lump on the ground. Plus there's an old well, a very, very old well, which is just in the street. I'm probably going to visit it soon and see what's going on down there.
So the possibility of them jumping dimension.
It may well, but they may have ascended like Bashar's people or something like that, Who knows?
Yeah, or was it the...
Tuatha.
Yeah.
But they went inside. They went inside the cavities.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, I believe they did too. I've seen them there. Mm-hmm. But I never knew where the Pictish people were, and I also felt like I felt very curious as well, and this is the first time I've seen them, and was surprised to see them there. And the only reason I figured it out is because the being that I saw actually could see me in real time. And a lot of times I'll see something and they can't see me, but in this case, he could see me clearly. And so he said that he was there with this woman, this female, called Pick, or Picayune, and which it means small, or, I guess also another definition is insignificant, but I think it meant small. And so she was the one that I was connecting with that ended up in the hospital, and that was her other aspect there in the parallel. And as she's there, and just the name alone made it, are you saying that she is a Pict, or is that her name? And it kind of revealed who they were as a group, that they were the Pictish people. Right. So I wouldn't know otherwise. But I found it quite interesting, and I thought this is worthy of keeping in touch with Baylord. And the name is Baylord, B-A-E, Lord, and that's exactly the way he said it to me. So I thought, well, this is an interesting name. And some people have linked the word Bay to other Celtic terms, and that they thought it looked Celtic to them. So, we'll see. We'll see how it evolves. But here is the transmission for this week from Baylord.
Okay.
I observed parallel number 6, and on the planet I saw Baylord standing before Leonard Crumb, who I also think is Dionysus, whom he had constrained with leather straps. Just as parallel 16, the planet was aflame with natural gas being pulled up from the inner planet and appeared as liquid fire, yet a transparency of atmospheric waves of gas fire. The ground appeared as sand, and all natural things were burning. As I observed, all vegetation was dying, and the difference between the 6th parallel, and parallel 16 was that Dionysus was not able, or Leonard Crumb was not able to escape after igniting the gas fire. This time, Baylord made sure he would find Leonard Crumb and Dionysus and not allow him to affect any other planets.
Leonard Crumb. What makes you think you can collapse our world without having to address me?
You have no power, Baylord.
He's a bit Meetis-like. He has to be.
A little Meetis-like, but go ahead.
Little Meetis. You have no power, Baylord. I will draw it all out from you. Destroy the core and upper inhabitants and habitation right before you. Do as you will with me. I've already succeeded in destroying your many worlds and will not stop until everyone is gone.
You've got to see my challenge against you, Leonard Crumb. Your misery awaits you.
Then Baylord struck Leonard with a whip, and as he tried to subdue and control Leonard Crumb, I ventured into the planet through an open tunnel that led me to the gas lines. Then I shut off.
Sorry, I was doing the gas line.
Awesome. Then I shut off the gas line, and the flame disappeared. And as soon as the flame disappeared, Leonard Crumb gasped, and then collapsed, and began to diminish into nothing. At that point, we realized that Leonard Crumb, or Dionysus, relied upon the flame for his existence. That's when Baylord realized that Leonard Crumb was a djinn. Baylord turned to me and spoke.
He is a djinn, a fiery element of discord.
It appears that way. He only survives where fire exists, and when the fire is gone, he disappears.
That doesn't mean this is the end of it all. We have to watch all parallels to find him before he does any more damage. I've seen him by the rocks and the stone walls. I've seen him light up the sky with his fury. His temper cannot be satisfied. But we, the Pictus people, are here to survive forever. Whether friend or foe, nothing shall end our existence, so long as we have breath and life and desire to exist. Come back to me, my friend, and help me defeat Leonard Crumb, and I will help in your world as well. Tell my people I'm weary of warfare and long for their presence. We're a hardy clan and enjoy the goodness of the earth, the warm summer rains and the brisk winds of the ocean. We love the green grass between our feet and the tall trees above our heads, the bonny hills that will go on forever. We are lovers of the land and true protectors of the sun. We follow our hearts in what we do. Tell them, don't weep for us. We will survive as they will survive. We're not lost. We will forever hold our ground, and we will celebrate with a hearty flask of strong drink when this is all past. Bananas.
Then Baylor looked down to the earth as if he was speechless and weary, and then looked up at me.
I remember you. Be safe on your journey back. Never challenge Leonard Crumb alone. Call on me always. He is my problem, not yours. It is me who dared him long ago. I'm sorry you had endured the many hardships and encounters of misfortune with him. Come back to me, friend, and we will liberate the Pictus clan and all humanity from the workings of Leonard Crumb. Baylord. So.
Awesome.
Pretty intense.
Yeah, I like him. He's a man of few words, but he means it.
Mm-hmm. Fabulousness. So, shall we move on to our final movings? Unless are there any things about? Because Leonard Crumb's a djinn.
Leonard Crumb's a djinn.
Is Dionysus a djinn?
It appears that, or he evolved into a djinn. I don't know what happened. He was supposed to be like Bacchus, but I think he and Bacchus are different, to be honest with you.
He's always
if you look at Dionysus in history, he's just very, he's very self-centered. He does a lot of things, and clearly got very dark and very vengeful, and whatever. Baylord never fully explained what the challenge was. And Baylord probably said, you can't destroy us. You can't destroy our worlds. And maybe something else happened that he didn't get into, but, we did discover someone by the name of Leonard Crumb out by, I don't know if it was Washington State or Oregon. It was out that way. And there have been people that have contacted me about the Pictish people and some other information that does correlate to what I've been saying. And I'm going to try to get some of that information and share it with people. Because I think it's really critical that we can get as much as we can from a group that has been hidden for so long. There's a lot of unanswered questions and curiosity about it. And clearly there are quite a few that are still genetically linked to them. So it's worth the questions and the waiting.
Mm-hmm. So, shall we move on to Andronicus? Or
yes.
Yeah. We haven't got very many left. There's
we have Meetis then afterwards.
Okay. Oh, I've got to pick Where did that go? I've lost that. Anyway, I'll pick it up in a second. So, meanwhile... I'm in a basement of a city... That's a bit too cockney, yeah? I'm in a basement of a city building in Los Angeles, California, listening to music. Hot summer beaches, loud talking. They call me the highwayman because I like to ride my motorcycle up and down Sunset Boulevard. The smoke is captivating, swirling and filling the room with an ashen scent and incense.
Why are you there, Andronicus? Just for curiosity, pleasure, or other reasons?
Well, you know that behind all my journeys there is a purpose of experience for life and expansion. But on this occasion, I'm here to see you, flower child. One of your aspects is dancing by the band. You have white daisies in your long blonde wild hair. You're wearing hip-hugger bell-bottoms that are embroidered with peace signs, mushrooms, and Hindu signs. Across your backside it says, "Make love, not war." There's a small butterfly floating up from your hip as if resting on it, and is permanently tattooed. Your back has a tattoo image of the sun. You're in bliss, dancing, making etheric waves on the dance floor. A tall man dances with you and then leaves for some unexpected reason. I step in and stand beside you. You instantly stop dancing and awaken by my stare. I had to. The time was not right. You have done this before, Suma. You make waves in the electric sky.
Are you saying this was one of my aspects as when I was in the surrogate program?
Yes, but unfortunately you die soon after. They find you.
Who finds me?
The Gorgon, the elements of the underworld. I don't know how to prevent it from happening. They don't want the change at this time, and we don't have the power to prevent them from harming you. We had to stop you from making waves 12 times during your current lifetime. We couldn't prevent your death in your surrogate lifetime. We can't afford a premature death to happen now when we're in so close to the change. Stay safe, Suma.
Well, this raises my curiosity. Now I have so many different questions. Can I ask you just one question? There was a woman by the name of Sharon Tate who was killed by Charles Manson. Was that me? I even had someone approach me in this lifetime when I was young and say I reminded him of Sharon Tate, even though she was from an earlier time and I didn't think we looked alike, but maybe he recognized my soul.
Some are able to do that, recognize soul essences. I do suspect that individual was sent to you by the Gorgon.
Well, I did almost drown while I was with him on one occasion.
He would have cut your life short indeed.
So the woman you saw in the nightclub, was that me as Sharon Tate?
No, that was another surrogate lifetime where you lived in California, but was unknown to the public. Time to move on now. Soon this will no longer be a problem. Stay safe and don't make any waves. Making waves. Gets you noticed.
Well, apparently what happens is that he said that I make some kind of energetic wave, and this is part of my soul energy. But the surrogate program looped me around multiple times, and there was a connection between me and there was a few other kind of monarch type of Nazi agenda females. And so I was looped multiple times, and I knew about this. I was curious about this Sharon Tate thing because, I remember watching it as a child and feeling affected by it. And the whole helter-skelter thing with there's the Beatles, there's Charles Manson, and an unexplained death that affected a lot of people because, she was pregnant at the time. So it looked like my soul was used to loop into Sharon Tate, and then also this other female that Andronicus actually went to and met in LA. and tried to stop me there before I got killed. And there's other lifetimes that I got killed around the age of 30 or so, or before. So I was around the age of 17, 18 years old when I almost drowned. It was one of the only incidences that I had that I came that close to death. And strangely, this friend that I dated was, looked at me and said, "You remind me very much and had this thing for Sharon Tate." And it was really, really weird. I'll never forget it. And I thought, it made me uncomfortable, actually. I didn't understand. I didn't think I looked like her. But I knew there was something wrong with the conversation. And there was something wrong with this person. Not, he was a cruel person, but was used. And so, did separate from that person, it didn't spend much time. And he wasn't a bad person, but there was something just, and something's not right. And, so, yeah, the surrogate program's a really weird thing. Kind of has us, they take the soul and then they know that the soul is connected to something ancient. And so then they use that soul for an agenda that they have. And clearly the monarch butterfly on my hip, using for, certain type of, personality, using the feminine energy for, agendas, to manipulate in certain ways. And, so I'm starting to look up this whole thing now. Now I'm saying, all right, so I got a confirmation from Andronicus that I was Sharon Tate, or my soul was Sharon Tate in a surrogate experience. And I look up all the movies and everything that she did, and she has one movie that's called Don't Make Waves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And because that's exactly what he said, don't make waves. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And afterwards I looked it up. I said, there it is. So, and I actually, when he talked to me about that incident, I remember that I was dancing, and I even remember there was like this stage that kind of, was lifted up a little bit from the floor, and it was a live band, and there was just a lot of smoke and incense and stuff in the air, and, very hippie and dancing, and I still have a lot of that hippie energy from, probably multiple lifetimes that I got looped around that same period. And looking at it, I'm thinking, I remember someone walking up to me and just staring at me and wondering where I was and why this person was staring at me in that way. It was like a form of hypnosis. So, broke me from whatever that was and told me, energetically, or told me by the gaze to, stop dancing. And I can remember just, cause I love going out with my friends and go dancing locally or whatever. And there's been multiple times where I'd go out for like a couple weekends and then I'd have to stop. And he said 12 times they had me stop, which is so weird. So, I think that energy is going to be resolved. But I think, and the making waves was supposed to be an energy that helps send out, some type of energy that's supposed to be positive, not negative. Cause it's usually, I feel like I'm in a state of bliss or whatever, it's just a happy feeling, and everyone who dances knows this. But for whatever reason, I was not allowed to do it. So I don't know. It was a weird story. I'm sure that others have stories that have, whatever the surrogate thing, which is I keep on trying to research and study and understand. But maybe we'll figure out more why they went so far out of their way to surrogate certain people and what their agendas were and how it's going to affect everyone when all of these programs break and they're gone. And I imagine we'll be in a much better place. So. I think we have Meetis left.
We have Meetis left. Yeah, that should be just perfect. Okay. Hello, flower. The winds are subtle, the skies are blue, and the hills are of emerald fields. There are brighter days ahead. London got through much of their hardship after all, and I got over much of my fanciful desires for elaborate things. We can trust one another to speak quite honestly. I know your worries and your fears, your pains and your sorrows. Now that I've worked through my own issues, I will come to take on the compassion for all of you. You see, I have grown to be less selfish and more giving. I won't deny I wouldn't want the occasional dalliance or a mug of stout. My temperament is much more even now. My gait is much less arrogant. I don't wear lace or frills anymore after seeing the people suffer so greatly. I will never long for the fineries and turn my back on the poor. I sold many of my costly items and bought food for the impoverished, and it was the best thing I ever did. Oh, my dear flower, the look in their eyes when I brought them their food was more valuable than anything I'd ever encountered. It was worth more than all the gold and all the tea in China. I want to change things. Really, I do. I want to help so many, but I'm limited to what I can do. It is time for humanity to step up to see it for themselves. It is time for them to turn over a new leaf and hope for a better tomorrow. I want you to see the mysteries I see. I want you to taste the goodness of the earth as I do. I want you to know the fullness of life and the warmth of love again. It is truly lovely. Much has changed. So much is going on to change. Much has changed. So very much is going to change for all of you. Primus, there is fair weather and hearty crops for you and your sweet one. The heavy souls knock on your door daily. I will bless your steps always through time and test. Be strong and don't worry about the harsh words that blow about you. It is merely to throw you off your course. Here is my staff to help you through the new gate. And here is my song for all of you. A tea of two, a banker's few, a double tongue, the end of one. The Soros star, the broken jar, the tipping scale, the garden snail, the fellows dance, the ladies prance. We see through all of their sordid glance. I'm not entranced by sacred schools. I learned to break their horrid rules. Shut down their laughter, banter and raucous. I'm here to stop this outrageous caucus. Step down, release, I have taken it now. It is me who stole the power from the tormentors with my vow. Fly high, dear friends, I have your sail. I will not let them make you derail. Seek 40 women and 40 men. this is complete, here our song will end. La la la, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la. Our song will end. Our song will end.
All right.
There we go.
Well, you know, I mean, there's so many different. It's almost like it's cryptic a little bit, you know. He kind of hints of things here and there. It's very, very, very interesting. Some of the things he says.
It's just amazing, you know. You could, I mean, nobody could make this stuff up, just like that. Just saying.
No.
Just saying. You know, thank you very much.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I sit down and I'll just start writing and writing and writing and writing, and then all of a sudden it stops.
Mm-hmm.
I said it's done.
And the song, do you hear a tune? Does he sing it, or is he just giving you? I'm surely he's giving you a song, isn't he? It's like singing.
There are times when I've heard a melody with it, but typically not.
All right.
Remember, that's not one of the gifts that the universe gave me. I mean, I could sing, but you know, there may be a little. Other people, since there's so many wonderful singers out there, it's good for them. You know, glad. But he doesn't send me the melody, because even if he did, maybe I'd be distracted by it, or I'd try to hum it, or I don't know. I think
you
it's
should
hilarious.
ask him one day. It's like, is he doing this at the right songs? You know, maybe it doesn't really matter. It just needs to have some tune. And I think I've made up a variety of tunes. It's been hard to say that, you know, there are two of these tunes that are the same. You know, everything always seems to have its own rhythm and its own melody and things like that. So, anyway.
I think that you are given, I think you're so keyed into him that you just sort of go with the flow, and he knows that.
That's good. That's good.
But you did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your multi-talents of helping and assisting with, everything and being the voices of all the different characters. And, I want to say thank you to everyone who's in the chat room that may be listening on Monday, and hoping that it, you enjoy the pre-record and also the eclipse that's coming up. So there's a little message about the thunder going through the eclipse. We'll see what happens.
Fabulous. So that's it from Answers from the Universe for this week.
Yeah. Andronicus Transmissions.
Have a fantastic rest of your holiday. We'll see you in a week to 10 days time.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, JP, as always, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
From the future